G'day Tigercast fans, welcome back to another video. Tonight I thought we would go into a bit of a pre-season training update. Now before we get stuck into the update itself, I want to be fully upfront and give full, absolute 110% credit to Caesar from Punt Road End for these updates. He does God's work with doing the training reports for all of us Tiger nuffies out there. He was just craving any type of information about pre-season training, who's training the house down, is the camel still there or not, all that information. Caesar does a power of work, and he's very, very humble and very, very kind. So we thank Caesar for all of his work that he does with the training reports. So these are some of his observations from training on Monday and Wednesday this week. So I'm not sure if they're training every day yet or if it's every second day, whatever it might be. But obviously we started off on the Monday with the 2K time trial. Now what was interesting with this is I was watching some of the club socials in the lead up to the 2K time trial, and they were interviewing some players and asking who their tip was, who might win it. And a few of them did say Blight might be a chance to win it. I'm like, oh, that's a bit of a big call, but especially when, you know, historically Camden McIntosh and Broad and Ralph Smith players like that have typically had pretty good runs at the 2K trial. But sure enough, Blight won the bloody 2K time trial. Apparently he went past K-Mac in the last lap pretty quickly. So Blight won the 2K trial. McIntosh was second. Nathan Broad third. Jack Ross fourth. And Dion Prestia fifth. So good to see some of the older lads up there. They've obviously got, you know, a bit more experience and under their belt to knock out a pretty good 2K trial. In terms of players who didn't participate, no Tim Taranto, no Hopper, Nank, Steely Green, Seth Campbell, Caleb Smith, Banks, and the ACL crew, and the new players as well. It's kind of sad that we have an ACL crew, I suppose, but it is what it is. That's just where we're at the moment. And there were some non-training participants in Lynch, Nank, Hopper, Taranto, as mentioned before, Sims and Houghton. They were only doing sort of early and light stuff. And in the rehab group, we've got Juddy doing some laps, Kalina just some gentle running, Banks doing some work as well, and Jonty Fall and Lawler doing some run-throughs. Obviously, Lawler coming off his long hamstring injury, and without having done a proper footy pre-season before, the club undoubtedly going to bring him in nice and easily. In terms of the new players, some of the young guys did a couple of drills. Smiley, Armstrong, Elgar, Trainer did do a few drills. Smiley in particular stood out, according to Caesar, in one snippet of play and looked right at home. And that Sammy Lawler's a solid unit, which we could all see from his training pictures, which is really, really good. That was probably it from the Monday session. On to the Wednesday session, which was today, the night I'm recording this one. So the takeaway that Caesar had from today's training session, the absolute star of the track on a damp surface was Seth Campbell, which I no doubt will be music to a lot of people's ears. Clean as a whistle, Hoover-like, hits the ball at speed and gets it to his foot very quickly. If he stays healthy, is a player that Caesar expects to blossom next season. Now we're not going to hold that against him if he doesn't blossom, but it's a really good observation from Caesar, and we love hearing that Seth Campbell is going really, really well. And this was a little bit of a coy comment that I really liked. He said, people are going to love Josh Smiley. From other people who've put reports as well, it sounds like he's showing some really good leadership traits at training, getting around the players, getting involved in drills, you know, really, really well with some good passing and decision-making, good voice and things like that. It just seems like he's a bit of a sponge, wanting to get access to all the coaches, all the players, pick their brains and just become the best version of himself that he can, which is exactly what you want in a player. The other takeaway that we had from today's training session is a few posters asked about certain players. Sonzi and Kazitsky were both training with the forward groups when they split off into the lines. Now, I'm not sure I'm quite happy with both of those, to be honest. With Sonzi in particular, it kind of feels like 2025 is make or break for him. And we already saw in 2024 that the half-forward line just wasn't the right fit for him. And it was no coincidence when he went back to the VFL and played in the midfield that he played really well, got some really good numbers, had a really good influence on the game. I just don't know. I don't know why he can't put it together at half-forward. Maybe it's the lack of involvement or the reading of the play. Do we try him at halfback? I don't know. I really want the kid to succeed because he does have some serious tools and some good weapons on him, but he just hasn't pieced it together as a forward. So I'm hoping he'd see some more midfield time, but that's not a good sign early days. And Kazitsky, weirdly enough, even though, you know, the last year and a bit our forward line's been maybe our weaker part of the ground, with some of these draftees, and obviously Lynch getting back to full health as well, Bauer getting back to full health, Fawcett putting on some good size, Lafau coming back, I'm just not sure there's a spot up forward for Cozzy, and I don't think he does his best work there. I really do think he does his best work as a defender. The few times he played in defence, he attacked the ball really well, really good spoils in, and he probably can play a backup ruck role if we weren't going with Miller. I don't think we can play Cozzy and Miller in the one side. It would have to be one or the other. But yeah, his role for me in the side would have to be as a defender / backup ruck. But I'm not sold on him being a forward though. Like, I know he competed, but I think these other guys who have got in can compete at the same, if not better level, and we're also going to get development into them. So it just doesn't make sense at the moment. But in Uze we trust in the coaching staff. I'm sure they know exactly what they're doing. But anyway, that is a couple of training takes from Caesar. Again, Caesar from Punt Road End. If you see his post, make sure you give it a like and get around him. It's always amazing to get information out from training sessions because we're all craving it, especially now with all these new kids in the side too. We're desperate to get any information that we can, or smashing the refresh button on the daily on the socials. So Caesar, again, I know you're very humble, but I thank you and we appreciate all the work you do, mate. And we look forward to more training reports in the future.